Kick things off with map or battleground number 2, which is going to be Kalaris' favorite, Garden of Terror.
Brilliant.
I'm not even sure if many or some players even know how this map works anymore in competitive football, because I can't remember the last time I've seen it.
I'm going to try and cheer Kalaris up here. This is absolutely a map that we could see Hasselhoff's bringing out the Vikings on, and that's always a pleasure to watch.
True, that could happen. Yes. But at the same time, it could last 40 minutes.
I would argue that those two are not mutually exclusive.
So now comes my personal highlight of the day. Kalaris, take us through Garden of Terror and explain to the guys out there how it works.
All right, well, we have Garden of Terror. A little bit of changes going on. We'll get onto those later. But of course, 3 lanes does Garden of Terror compose of. And also, we have 2 phases, day and night. During the nighttime, we have these little shamblers and also the big Garden Terrors, which do drop seeds. You collect 100 of them, and you're able to summon your own Garden Terror, which is nice. Look, there's Lily and Tyrael. No, probably won't see them too much today. And of course, we are able to get our own Garden Terrors, which previously used to be able to put down plants, the Queen's Curse, and that was able to do structural damage. But now what we have to do is we have to place that down, and then when we're able to hit it, of course, you get a little bit of bonus damage. The plant terror, the pot, no longer does structural damage. So it's all about staying in that position, sometimes defending the Garden Terror if you want to, or sometimes just saying, well, balls to that lane. I'll go another lane and do some damage there.
And without further ado, we're super quick in this game, so let's dive right into the action in the draft. Do you think, guys, we haven't seen Garden of Terror in a very long time. Are there any picks that are specifically good and designed on this map to work?
All set.
Okay.
Yeah. Any global, any XP.
Dahaka, potentially?
Give me the Dahaka.
Dahaka Shakalaka, as Tetra would like to call him.
Dahaka Shakalaka. It's such a possibility on this map, just due to 1, he actually gets really good clear on the Shamblers, and 2, he is global. That is a target pad. That is beautiful.
You know, remember when I was saying he's becoming the EU character?
Yeah,
the number
getting
1
target pad.
Oh my, I don't think we've seen that for months and months and months.
First pick Viking.
Brilliant. All right, my mind is saved.
Zeratul is a hunter.
I like it.
That makes sense. Kel'Thas is still up. They don't want it. They go with a Falstad.
This just...
Do you just Kel'Thas Sylvanas?
I like it.
Yeah, do that.
That's
And just win.
And just win.
Kel'Thas. And Sylv.
No, they Murden. Holy cow, Murden!
Oh, yeah.
What?
No, he's right. We haven't seen a big priority on him.
Oh, okay.
We've seen him like a couple times, like lower picks.
And it's Blumby's go-to hero, or warrior, after all. So very scary lineup so far for TEH89, because they're going to have to deal with the Viking split push. They're going to have to deal with the Kel'Thas AoE incredible balls bananas damage, and they're also going to have to wear down these walls. This warrior known as Muradin. So what do you do at this stage? What do you ban away from mYinsanity?
Do you remember when we actually watched, what was it, the game in Leicester where it was Zeratul, Dahaka, Falstad against Vikings on Sky Temple? Go that route and just destroy them.
Full global and just gank them all the time.
Just kill them all the time. Make it a nightmare. Just destroy.
Which is why I would argue Sylv. The minute they make that rotation, you're like, I'm going to take your fort, and then it's like you burnt all your globals. Like, it has early game. It is a far less common strategy in modern day, but when Vikings were actually initially released, everyone felt on Garden of Terror, if you got Vikings and Sylv, you lost the game. Like your opponent, you just lost. It's over. It's like
Team Liquid exhibited that for months and months and months and months.
Yes.
Yeah, it's solid. So we'll see if TEH89 maybe wants to pick up the Sylvanas to deny it. But for now, mYinsanity banning out the Grey main. He can get resets on Vikings, and 2, he's just a menace for Kel'Thas.
Very true. Could you elaborate why they would ban Grey main and not Li Ming? Because the Vikings and Li Ming, they have a very special relationship. Sometimes Li Ming players say, easy peasy. Sometimes the Vikings players say, hey, Li Ming can't really do much against us.
I think it's straight up that they're more fearful of it as like the only answer. Both of them have an interaction that kind of works that way. Li Ming has to partake in it to be able to get the proc, but...
That, and also, I don't think the Vikings almost ever join the fight. Unless they want to go for a weird flank on towards somebody in the back line with player again.
Yes.
I don't think they join the fight. I just think they just do their own little thing.
Uther's strong. Bung it on the Zeratul in case he gets turned on. Still pretty effective.
Yeah. The Divine Shield combo, always very good on almost any melee assassin, in fact, because they can need every ounce of additional protection.
Is it going to be Diablo?
Maybe. That'd be cool.
Dibble. or ETC for the full Uther ETC experience.
Oh,
The surround sound ETC Uther Divine Shield 7.1. There you go.
I mean, both warriors work really well. Of course, the Apocalypse, very efficient against all those Vikings, gets additional zoning potential there. But as you mentioned, Colors, I really do like the ETC idea. We haven't seen this infamous tour. What?
Turn it up to 11, boys.
Kalaris the Prophet. Let's do it. Come on, TEH89.
Turn up to 11.
Get it gone.
I'm surprised they want to pick their tank here. I would be way more worried about denying a DPS at this point, especially when mYinsanity now has the opportunity for other really strong DPSs.
I sort of don't mind what TEH89 is doing because they Mosh Divine Shield. They're going to be running up against a 4-man almost always, right? How do you shut down a 4-man? Mosh Pit could be a good answer for that.
It could be.
Yeah, Rhaegar being hovered over by mYinsanity, and then they still have that option for the Sylve. We have been waiting for it.
Somehow I just believe that it's just not going to happen. You know, like, if I say it, it just doesn't happen in Europe, you know?
Well,
to be the case.
think about the 4-man that they need. They've got Kael'thas, good backline damage. Muradin, good frontline tanking. Rhaegar, good healing. What now needs to be there?
And
does Sylve need to be there?
Not only from a pushing, split soaking aspect, but also from an interruption aspect. The Wailing Arrow can potentially be a tool to interrupt ETC. If he's not being Divine Shielded, of course.
Can also turn on Zeratul very aggressively if he does misposition himself.
I mean, you might call me North American, but I feel like Sylve is viable in almost every situation. Like, you've seen the prioritization and it has on it, and I feel like there's never been a game so far that we've seen here in Europe that has screamed Sylvanas except for this one. So I want to see it. I don't think we will though.
And but if there's one team that thinks outside the box in drafting and stuff, it could be mYinsanity. But of course, they also have the trademark ranged assassin, which is of course a Lunara.
I don't
think of the bonus damage from Nature's Culling.
I don't feel it's terrible for a 4-man though. Again, you vines everything and then run away.
You're way more susceptible to Zeratul.
I agree with that.
Sylve. You gain less value in the early game, starting up until you get to 7, and even then, it's not nearly as effective. You're more susceptible than to Zeratul, and you have no interrupt for Mosh Pit at all. The only thing you provide is a larger amount of damage post-16, but let's be honest here. If you have Vikings, are you looking for the post-16 game? You're looking to do well in the early game. That will translate to the late game. That's Garden of Terror 101 with Vikings. I don't like it.
Did you say you had no interruptions on Mosh Pit?
No, I'm saying with Lunara compared to Sylvanas. Like, it provides wins in almost all fronts, in my opinion.
In essence.
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing she doesn't win on is direct hero damage.
That is the only thing. And I feel like you already have Kael'thas, you already have solid amount of CC and everything else. I just feel like you could have gained way more value in that. And
like this, John.
We're back on Sky Temple. I love it. Visions. Oh, beautiful.
So we see Dahaka for the very first time logged in. So Garden of Terror has done something good to us already.
Hooray! Vikings and Dahaka in one game.
Exactly. and that's really cool to see like how the meta in the series, as Grubby would call it, shifts depending on the battleground choices here, right? So we see heavy global mobility for TEH89. Do you like their strategy, their game plan more than the previous one?
Personally, no.
Like, it's good for killing Vikings. And it's good for, like, getting to maybe some of the back line if they're lucky. But, like, they have setup and they have kill potential. I think I prefer it a little bit more. But overall, it's not a huge amount better.
James, what do you think? Do they have what it takes to take game number 2 home?
TEH89? No, probably not. Like, again, it comes back to what I said about the first game and why I went with mYinsanity. I just think that they are a more cohesive unit, and I think that they are well versed with one another. Yeah, definitely.
It was like
they have the strategy, they have the coordination, everything about it. Zeratul Falstad Dahaka means that our Vikings is going to play super defensive and never go out beyond a gate, but it's still going to do its job.
Yep, and the second they leave, Viking out into lane, second that person disappears, Viking back, and Hasselhoff is someone who's shown incredible micro in terms of keeping Vikings alive.
He's pretty good at micro.
He's pretty good at micro.
You could say
it's almost like he played an RTS at some point, but that can't be true.
Yeah, I think, where you had the population of potentially 200 units. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Free is going to be really difficult for him, though.
And everybody remembers Vortex's Vikings as well, because for the exact same reason, right? If you used to play StarCraft 2 or Warcraft 3, you're probably going to be a very good Vikings player. Now, let's come to prediction, guys. Thatcher, is TEH89 a solid candidate for game number 2, or do you think that mYinsanity is no? Okay. I'm digging in. I'm all for mYinsanity, but Dread, what do you think?
I was more convinced with their draft last game, and it was pretty convincing because mYinsanity is just a better team. I'll give it to mYinsanity.
All right, to mYinsanity. James, do you agree?
I wish I could be the naysayer. I wish I could, just to annoy people. But I've got to go with mYinsanity as well. I think it's too strong.
And who am I to actually disagree with all these lovely people at the analyst desk? So but jokes aside, I really think mYinsanity has what it takes. They have some of the comfort picks, Lunara, the Lost Vikings. If there is a team that's known for excelling on these heroes in particular, then it's certainly mYinsanity. And I think the Garden of Terror actually adds bonus strength to the Vikings in particular, so mYinsanity it is.
Yep.
And let's move on to the Garden of Terror. And our casters are definitely
good.
getting themselves ready. Did I sound a little bit French here?
Nah.
No, I think you nailed it.
All right, so casters, take it away. Thatcher and Dreadnought, take us to Garden of Terror.
Welcome back, guys. Game number 2. Honestly, we don't have a huge amount of faith in TEH89. Like Dread said, he prefers their draft for last game. I like the global aspect. Like I said, it's good for killing Vikings.
Yes.
But mYinsanity, they have so much potential in literally everything else.
They very much do. And how the Vikings are going to play out this game, I'm going to be interested to see. We've already bragged up HOTS and his micro here, whether they go with a 3-man split, a 1-2, which right now he's posturing around. But mYinsanity, we're going to have Nurok on the Kel'Thas. Darkmok is going to be playing the Lunara. Blumby is going to be on the Murden, and Splendor is going to be on the Rhaegar. Meanwhile, obviously, HOTS on those Vikings as always.
Yeah, and on the right-hand side, they really need to bring back the series here. Remember, losers this will play against Team Dignitas. It is TEH89, where we have Zarmany playing the ETC, Sportbilly playing the Falstad. Grand Paqueta is on that Uther. In the bot lane, it is a Thera Angel. He's on to Hacker. He likes that hero. And finally, we have Zeratul being played by Eternal.
And the 1-2 split, Olaf on his own in the mid lane, while you have the other two sitting in the upper lane. Obviously, just mainly Olaf is safer laner, so you put him on his own while you have the other two kind of get a little bit of split push going on. Falstad is flying top to be able to deal with that for now, and the 4-man posture for mYinsanity still in the scrub.
Are they in XP range?
I mean, all it's going to take is one Store Bolt, and Ethereal will be one dead Dahaka.
Yeah, is it going to be Ethereal, though? Or will we see, like, Zeratul roam down to bot lane? Just like, I don't know who's here. Wow, they're being very... Oh, they're thinking about it, but...
They don't know.
How patient are they going to be? How long will they wait for this?
It's an interesting question. I feel like they have to know they're on bottom, largely because Vikings have shown mid and top. So I don't feel like they're being too sneaky. Splendor is actually getting all the XP, by the way, over that wall. For those who don't know, XP range is the equivalent of vision range, which he is able to be in for the XP on the bottom half.
Okay, they've given up on waiting. They're just going after Athero. There's the really burrow, though. Very nice. Can he get out of here? Body block. Not a thing. He actually just drags in Muradin for follow-up damage, and he gets... Oh! The tick heals himself. He will survive here, barely.
He actually would have been more likely to survive if he had saved his W to be able to not be body blocked there. He popped it at the same time as this burrow, which put him in a rough situation there. But Ethereal does pull away with surviving here. Keep in mind, TEH89 has gotten a lot of pressure on the upper half of the map because of how long and the patience that you saw on the side of mYinsanity. Meanwhile, both the teams scattering around, going dead even on the Shamblers for now. Who's going to be able to win on the big one, though? That's usually what leads to a Garden Terror.
Yeah, both teams just grabbing all the small camps, which is the safer move, and then eventually you wait till you have an advantage.
It's actually,
you can make a play.
It's a really interesting thing. I would argue that the small ones are what win games on Garden Terror. A lot of people underestimate that. There's the small ones, not so much in the early game, but as it goes to phase 2 and 3, it's whoever is very good at dominating those usually ends up with the win in the long run.
Because it's easier to counter someone when they're doing the actual Garden Terror, whereas the Shamblers, if you can get them quick enough before the enemy has a chance to rotate, suddenly that's up to 60 seeds just gone, just completely vanished.
Yeah, I can say that I'm not too impressed so far with how mYinsanity has been able to play this Vikings-oriented game. Not so much on the Viking side, but the 4-man has been very ineffective. Eric does fall down here already, which is fine. He was on his own, soaking all the lanes. You see mYinsanity trying to rotate with this 4-man now, realizing they're on top, trying to contest. Blumby is going to stun the Garden Terror, a big Shambler. I actually don't know the accurate name for that,
I believe.
But they aren't getting anything out of this quite yet. They do need to make this 4-man very effective.
Yeah, they want to try and make something out of it. Eric running back to top lane, which is why they're all protecting this plant, because they can still soak the XP from top lane while they are here.
Yes.
So they don't actually miss out on anything doing this. They are giving time for Eric to come back. They're keeping control of this, denying seeds to the enemy, and they're actually picking up a couple. They found Zeratul a bit alone here.
He comes back at this point. He should be going down. That is going to be a dead Zeratul, but it's going to be at the trade of Lunara's life here.
Yeah, but he does get traded off here. Oh. Down goes Rhaegar as well. Nicely done by TEH89. That's a 2-for-1 right now. And immediately, Volstad piecing out to the lower lane so we can get XP and actually try and get a Viking as well.
He's going to go down?
Yeah, he's going to get it.
Nice.
Get a Viking too. So suddenly, a huge jump in XP for TEH89, and they're able to pick off, I think that was another Viking as well.
Yeah, they did, and they're in a situation where they're now leading in the seeds, which is rare when you do fight the Lost Vikings when it comes to Garden of Terror here. So really well done. TEH89 really abusing their globals as best as they possibly can. I'm pretty impressed with how well it's gone so far.
Nice dwarf toss by Blumby there, avoiding out that power slide. But like you said, TEH89 suddenly having some map control. They're able to grab most of the top seeds. Now they're looking for the bot one. Both teams, you can see by the little icon in the bottom right, with the plants being open, there are enough seeds on the map for both of these teams to grab, or either of these teams to grab a Terror if they're able to pick up enough seeds.
Yeah, and there is siege happening in the upper lane with the Vikings are not able to deal with. Also, keep in mind that is going to be another Viking falling down, able to soak the lane. So the anti-Viking strat coming into play and so far showing to be effective. Those Giants, Olaf looks like he's in a little bit of trouble, but he'll be able to get that health regen. He's not too worried about it.
Yeah, he's able to tank through this and actually using the Siege Giant to clear the lane here more than anything with that Mercenary Lord that he did take on level 4. So it does give a little bit of help here.
The 4-man, again, on the side of mYinsanity is very unimpactful so far into this game. I just feel like they haven't been able to make really anything happen here. They are even in seeds. They haven't really done too much. Oh, but Uther does get picked out a little bit now. Also, Rhaegar in rough position, chain lock there. He will be going down. That was very well done. Again, the global abuse here from TEH89 is very impressive.
Yeah, Thero really has shown in the past that he's very scary on this Dahaka, and once again, bringing it out here. They're getting close. Uther gets focused down and killed off. Is so close to a Terror in terms of seeds for TEH89. 95. They're not able to get it, but they are able to get another Viking out of this at least.
And another thing to keep in mind is we do not have the traditional build here coming up from Kael'thas. He did not take the vulnerability of 7, instead going with the auto attack damage. That is going to be Dahaka so far is doing all right here. He will be able to survive this situation. Interesting choice in build, though, not going into the double passive here at 4 and 7 on the side of Kael'thas, instead going with the mana on his E and then going with, CDR, and then going with the passive at 7.
Yep, he wants more crowd control, which makes a lot of sense. He needs to punish people when they try to go deep for him or for Lunara, which is what he's going for, and then trying to drop the bonus damage with that level 7. Heroics available. He takes the Phoenix. We see play again for the Vikings. Available for both teams. Actually, pretty standard stuff. It is the mosh pit for ETC, though, not that stage dive.
Both teams 10. Posturing around the Knight. This is a 4 versus 5. The Gust comes out a little bit early here, but keep in mind, Void is still an option. Urok just getting blown up.
Yeah, beautiful stun by Kael'thas there to avoid the ETZ damage. And the Living Bomb spreading nicely, but TEH89 do steal the boss here and get the Kael'thas.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the boss, the Bruiser Camp.
The Chain Bomb mixed with Lunara's damage there, you saw it was kind of eating everybody up here, but Lunara has not hit her power spike. She definitely is a late game oriented hero. And with the Kael'thas build that we see, it's also a late game oriented hero. So overall, not too surprising how this game has gone. I've said it before, just the 4-man wasn't impactful. Now we're past that stage to where the 4-man is that relevant. They do have the opportunity to make plays, but traditionally, once you hit that 13 era, is when essentially splitting is not really effective in most situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And mYinsanity, once again, going for the bush better, trying to hide, never just seeing if anyone wanted to try and raid them. But seeing as they can't find anyone, they're just grabbing mercenaries for themselves and continuing to rely on the Vikings for all of their XP soak.
Yeah, that is sad that there was not a terror achieved for mYinsanity, largely because the Vikings soaking and then split pushing with a 4-man in one all lane and then having the terror in the other is a very hard to deal with situation, but now it's late enough in the game, it might not matter. Athero being very patient. Oh, but they survived that speed from Eric there. Hasuwab's very well done being able to survive.
Yeah, he's very good at these Vikings, at keeping them alive. And that has been helping his team stay in it. And as such, despite currently being 2 kills to 5 in favor of TEH89, mYinsanity still keeping up, and a lot of that is down to that Vikings experience.
Yeah, very much is. The Vikings are so good at soaking. They provide a lot when it comes to Garden of Terror. Teams just kind of dancing around, poking around, trying to find something, trying to find a fight where they can get on their footing, where they feel like they have the upper hand here. Vikings are still soaking on bottom, while we have DreamHack down there as well. Nobody's going to be... actually withdraws the Wisp there. Did get a little scouting. Here's going to be a bribe.
I believe it's going to be a bribe. We'll see in a second. For now, though, bit of a team fight up in the top lane. Kael'thas has been separated out with the Void Prism. Takes a lot of damage from Falstad. But there's the mosh pit. Denied immediately. No Divine Shield available.
Really well done. Gust and D-Shield burnt at the exact same time. That's a lot of cooldowns on the side of TEH89. And guess what? Worst case scenario, it is now the nighttime. Meanwhile, you have Giants because of that beautiful bribe coming out from HOTS pressuring on the bottom half. So now they are soaking all 3 lanes. They're in a position to where they're sieging with Merc camps in all 3 lanes. You're down a man and the seeds are now spawning. This is a huge turnaround for mYinsanity. Seems subtle, but it's actually a big momentum swing. Finally something going into their favor in this game.
Yep, Terra's available for both teams right now. We see Eric running back to get it. You can grab it with just 1 Viking, which is another huge advantage of them on this map. Whereas the rest of mYinsanity grabbing the top Terra, and right now we're not seeing anything going for the top one here.
Yeah, nobody going for the top one. That's a huge trade for mYinsanity. Now, the Terra pushing on the bottom half of the map. TEH89 is going to have to be able to deal with that. Now, guess what? They're going to be going up there. They're going to be dealing with... they're just going to keep this Terra alive as long as possible. They're going to get a double Terra and make pretty big plays here. So as long as HOTS does survive in that Terra, they're in a very pretty spot here for mYinsanity. Again, all it took was 1 pick, and it was perfectly timed with the map objective.
Yeah, TEH89, though, trying to win this out with experience. They're soaking a lot of the lanes themselves, grabbing as much as they can. In they come as well to try and steal at least a couple seeds here, but they're not going to be able to deny that second Web Weaver for mYinsanity once this first one has finished, which right now, chilling in the middle lane, but going to begin pushing that as Falstad was bullying it a bit in the bot lane. So instead, just putting pressure on, but he is having to micro 2 other Vikings at the same time as this, or in this case, 1 other Viking, only Olaf really being utilized. Baydog just chilling at base because that's very safe.
Yeah, and we need to see structures falling for mYinsanity so they can keep up that split pressure with the Vikings here. They haven't got anything when it comes to the Garden Terror quite yet. Athero Angel as well, kind of on the back foot, not making anything happen. 17 seconds for mYinsanity on this Garden Terror. They have gotten almost 0 value out of it so far. The globals from TEH89 have really kept them into the situation. Yeah, it's going to be falling down. 30 seconds for Athero Angel to make something happen.
Yeah, and
great damage.
Now, Divine Shield
that was huge.
used there. That is a big ability to go down. And Zeratul out of action for a little bit here. Eric also escaping after that Terror there. And mYinsanity continue to put pressure on, continue to deny the Terror of TEH89 to really do anything here.
Yeah, and Zeratul is trying to find these Vikings hiding around everywhere. There you see the flight down the bottom lane. HOTS, will he be able to survive? I don't know if that's going to be the case here. There he goes down. Once again, to the anti-Vikings composition of TEH89. This has been standard Garden Terror, I guess. I really feel like, again, just that there wasn't very good early game play. Really well done. Big damage coming out to Sport Billy there. But on the side of mYinsanity, the Vikings pick has shown to be lackluster, I'll say, in the early half of the game, because that's typically when they thrive, right? Now we're making to the late game.
Yeah.
Not a single fort has been taken.
Really not, like the Vikings, the description of the Vikings play I'd use for this game is they have managed to not lose long enough that they're actually doing something.
Yeah. That is a good way to put it. They are now facing the second Terror. It's going to be stacked with the Giants. I do like this sieging with the Giants. Traditionally, before the changes, I would have been more passive and be like, yo, let them respond to that. You can split push elsewhere. But now that the Garden Terror is very inefficient when it comes to sieging, pushing with this, trying to make something happen, I like this call on their half. You can defend those, get max value, disable the objective. We aren't going to see a pot coming out for a couple of seconds because he already burnt it, and it's a rather large cooldown now. In the upper lane, Olaf will be able to survive. On bottom, it is getting a little bit of soak as well.
Yeah, Baylog needs to back up a bit, though, or the minions will just straight up kill him here. But the mid fort did go down. Eric pulling back for... Olaf pulling back for safety. And Eric continuing to push with this Terror in the middle lane. But once again, team backing up. They know they can't get a huge much else out of this Terror, so they're going for the safer structure, which is going to be that bottom fort here. Whereas Olaf continues to soak.
I like this choice, mainly because I feel like they need to really open up the map. the farther you open up the map, oh, and a night terror spot, or nighttime is about to happen as well. That phase is very crucial. Both teams are going to have a lot of their heroics up, try to force that fight. Really heavy commitment here, which means on the bottom half, they're probably going to be threatening a keep front wall. Instantly, they ignore the fort there. You see them moving on because they recognize this 3-man commitment from TEH89 is very heavy and probably too much.
Yeah, Zarmany trying to peel here. He doesn't have his team
Look at that
with him,
lack
though.
of hesitation. Holy cow.
Yeah, they are just committing aggressively here. They don't go for the keep, though, because everyone has mostly feedback, or at least the ones they can see, Athero hiding in this bush here. ETC picking his for his level 13 talent, the groupies here. So a bit of extra healing for his team to try and counteract that Lunara, but a bit risky when you are against this chain bomb heavy build from Kael'thas.
Really good job from Darkmok there to be able to get enough damage onto Eternal, forcing a couple of cooldowns here. So are we going to see the Vikings now joining into play when it comes to the team fighting here, trying to flank the back line, get a stun onto somebody and a little bit of damage? Good night, Eric. You are going to be going down, and we have still soaking on all the other lanes. 50-50 here when it comes to Seeds, Tetra.
Yep, but mYinsanity with their rotations have been doing very effectively here in Baylog, once again grabbing a mercenary camp. But Eternal hanging around this area. Zarmany will also spot Baylog, so Zeratul, once he can try and roam down there and catch it. The rest of mYinsanity, though, thanks to seeing that with Baylog, have backed up. They don't want to get themselves caught out, but this is giving TEH89 a good chance to really take control of some terrors here. They're going to grab this bottom lane one, and that does give mYinsanity these things. They know all this is down here, thanks to Baylog, once again, that they can make a play onto the top one. But the 3 remaining members of TEH89 making some good moves here, putting on a lot of pressure.
Only 7 away to get a second terror there. They are going to be able to get it, but Olaf does fall down in the process here. Sportbilly very out of position. Good cleanse there. Huge avoid.
Yeah, and right now we're still seeing a huge amount of focus onto Blumby here. Pops his stone form, gets Ancestral and Avatar. The mosh pit is pretty good here. Nurok just waiting it out here and just drops some follow-up stuns. They've managed to keep everyone alive during this, other than a couple Vikings. And now they're trying to make a follow-up play. They find Grime Paqueta. He is on his own. He has no escapes, and he will go down here.
And so this is actually another kill that's perfectly timed for mYinsanity. Obviously, they didn't get to choose that fight necessarily, but now getting that, having no Grand Paquete for that amount of time is going to be allowed this terror to have max efficiency here, winning the race to 20 as well, and pushing with the Giants. This is a win-win. Hopefully being able to threaten to keep at this point in time, get a lot of pressure onto them, but obviously Athero with the defensive terror as well is going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be used for here. Just full defense, nice polymorph. They're not catching anyone, but at least repositions a lot of members of mYinsanity, just trying everything he can to defend here.
Yeah, I want to actually shout out to Ahaswabs there. He's heavily focusing. You see a lot of Nurok as well, throwing their damage into their opponent's terror, realizing that that's really the only way they can kind of stop them. So if they win the health war there, they're going to be in a really good situation. But Blumby is actually going to dive onto Falstad. He will not die. Grand Paquete throws out the W to keep him alive here, Tetcher. This is huge.
It is huge, but unfortunately, the red team terror has died here, so it is just the heroes here on the defensive. But Hasselhoff, very low terror, going to be backing up. In the meantime, though, he's still soaking the other lanes. They have their level 20s here. Master of Flames coming in from that Kael'thas, which is going to be very effective against these heroes, because TEH89 seems to group up quite a fair bit here.
Yeah, and now slowly but surely with the Nature's Calling and Lunara, they're making this happen with this Garden Terror. Really well done. Dahaka is scouting on the top lane. They'll probably be able to reveal that. And also a little positive that we haven't talked about when it does come to Vikings onto this map is typically if you have a squishy into the Terror, or really even a tank, you have to worry about them dying when the Terror goes down. They have to essentially lose efficiency like with the health of the Terror. And because they have Vikings, they're in a great spot here. And actually an overcommitment to the top lane looks like it's going to be tried to capitalize on here. And it will be for mYinsanity. Falstad flew top as well as Dahaka, which means guess what? Your keep is going down. A very big misplay for TEH89.
Yeah, the Merc-Lorded Siege Giants will now be defended. Keep does die, though. And that is a huge deal, like you said. Just putting too much aggression. But they're still getting XP out of Athero up here. So they're at least, despite losing the keep, going to get to their level 20, which is basically going to be their last chance to make a play in this.
Run. That's not your brush. Oh, he misses the top. Oh, he's going to be able to survive.
Fine. That's his brush. It's his now.
That's his, dude. Eric coming in, establishing dominance, saying, I don't care about you scary lick-a-tongue dinosaur thing. I don't care. We got this.
Yeah, he is not bothered. There is level 20. It's Redemption Epic Mount Rewind on that Zeratul. ETC yet to pick Dahaka with that Apex Predator.
We do. And the Fury of the Storm now is going to apply a lot of pressure out of the Vikings in each and every one of the lanes. Now with 2 keeps down as well, it's going to be really hard for TEH89 to get the wave clear and respond. You saw the rotations already cost them 1 keep, and now their rotations need to be absolutely perfect for them to do well in the rest of this game. Oh, man. Only top 4 has fallen as well for TEH89, so it's the only area where they can really if they get a big win, maybe take out a keep and win the game here. Grand Paquete is going to be double stunned, I'm guessing. There it is. That's his life. Keep in mind, Redemption will come into play here, but that's a huge cooldown to lose this early.
Yeah, Void Prison, though, catches 3 people. Here comes play again. ETC setting up for the mosh pit. Uther's back gets the Divine Shield. Can they get the kills on this? Ludara does drop here, as does Kael'thas. That's all of the damage gone, and that's a huge play for TEH89.
That was really well done, and now Vikings are going to sacrifice themselves. Olaf at least will be falling here. Giants are sieging up in mid, and keep in mind, there is still 2 keeps down here. This Terror will not be winning the game quite yet because of the duration of time that it takes you to get the map objective. Then it takes time to spawn. Then the transfer time. Essentially, they can't capitalize on those 2 kills. It will get them more seeds, but it won't really give them an opportunity to win like you see on some of the other maps.
Seeds being taken right now for mYinsanity as well. They are able to get control here, and they need to send someone. TEH89 need to send someone back right now. Falstad has gone there already. But mYinsanity grabbing a lot of seeds from top, but they're a bit slower here. They've left TEH89 left a hacker in bot lane, so the rest of the team can come up here and deny the rest of these seeds to mYinsanity, at least denying their turn, and they're going to try and look for some kills here. Plumby was a dwarf toss far enough here, getting focused down, pops the avatar and the stone form. He needs to escape it, but there's the good lick onto that Rhaegar there.
Unlock onto Rhaegar there.
Yeah, Mighty Gust used onto Plumby there, not getting much, but look how many minions there are pushing the base of TEH89.
That is a lot of minions coming into play. Everybody is backing and looking to respond.
Back.
This is the value that comes out of getting the double keep on such a large map like this, but risking the death of Rhaegar was all it took. They were in a position where they still could have gotten a Garden Terror here, but that one death onto Grand Paquete put them in a rough spot.
Eternal's getting closed in on here. He needs to be careful. In fact, he plays it safe and backs up. But unfortunately, that means not actually giving away quite a few seeds due to the fact that Athero has arrived just in time, as does Sportsbilly, and the seeds will be claimed by TEH89. ETC grabbing the ones in top lane as well. They will get a Terror, and by the looks of it, they will be able to deny the Terror away from mYinsanity, and that is a really big deal.
It is a big deal. It puts them in a position to where they are able to deny the Terror and essentially gain a half Terror for the next phase as well, putting them almost on even footing when it comes to the next night's phase. Now, keep in mind, this Terror is at 21 minutes into the game. This is when the Terror starts hitting like a truck. A great polymorph, and it's a team fighting tool now, whereas before it was a very heavy siege-oriented tool. Obviously, you can still siege, but its team fighting capabilities are much better now than it was throughout the earlier part of the game.
And it's super effective against Undara as well, due to the fact it has that sprint ability, so it can keep up with her and just drop insane damage. But this is what TEH89 are having to deal with. They're having to just spend so much time in their base because Hasselwobs is being a jerk and it's just keeping so much pressure on all the lanes.
Just Viking things coming into play here. That will be the sacrifice of Eric. You did your job, kind of, I guess. I don't know what your job was, really.
In bot lane, and that is enough time for the Terror to spawn, but every single lane is pushing. How many people can they send with the Terror now? There's Siege Giants in the mid lane, Siege Giants in the top lane, and Catapults in the mid lane. The Terror spending some time using the cleave attack it has now. The pot doesn't do damage to minions, but its auto attack cleaves to clear out some of these minions, so he's not using it for that big push that they could have tried to get out here. Instead, he has to use it to defend the base, and that's their lead basically squandered.
He essentially put him in a position where they've wasted 30 seconds on the Terror already, and now because he cannot clear waves effectively, or as quickly at least, on his own as he used to be able to, now he's going to have to clear him out and move up here slowly but surely, trying to make something happen with that long pot cooldown. So pretty much, they've gained no value. I like the choice on the side of TEH89. They have the double global sitting back to be the wave clear because they know the pressure is going to be coming in there. But overall here, it is going to be hard for them to be able to secure this game, especially with Lunara. She's going to eat that pot alive, stopping the disable onto the map objective.
Yeah, and like you said, the pot goes down very quickly. Falstad's here, though. They want to try and make a play while they have this Terror up. Because, like you said, if they don't, then they're going to be in trouble. They can, in theory, take a team fight being on even levels, but it's so risky because of how much their lanes are being pushed. They can't waste time here. They're going very aggressive here.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, that's 2 Catapults and Eric Viking with Fury of the Storm as well. And look at That didn't even get a keep. Zarmany, I didn't see exactly what happened there, but I feel like that definitely was an overcommitment on his half to be blown up that quickly.
That was just Kale and Lunara, basically.
Yeah.
He went in to try and get some keep damage, didn't have a bulb up, and just got focused super hard. Now we're seeing Hasselhoff's getting focused. There's the jump to escape the drag here. But TEH89 just making anything they can out of this situation, grabbing Mercenaries, just like, please, something work.
Yeah.
Something help us out here. Dahaka defending the core still, and this is basically their entire game now. We live in our base defending our core.
That is pretty much it for them. 71 gems to 49, so obviously mYinsanity has a slight edge here. If they do get 2 small Shambler camps, during the next Terror, they'll be able to get a Terror for them. If they do not get 2 of them, they will be forced to worry about the big map objective, which we talked about earlier, about how crucial it is to be able to counter on those because it becomes much easier than the small camps here. So watch the positioning here. We see that camp now sells that TEH89 is on the bottom half of the map, but they do have a double global, so they need to be worried about it. Most likely, mYinsanity now going to have aggressive posturing when it comes to the upper one. Now, them getting that camp, they show that they're kind of dancing on opposite sides of the map here. Grand Paquete expects a rotation here and has very aggressive positioning. I love this play.
Yeah, here comes the rest of his team as well, sneaking their way around here. I don't think they've been spotted. There's no Wisp in that area.
Nope.
But right now, they're going to find Hasselhoff's, but that's it.
That's not going to matter.
Hero. And there is the night phase started. They already get 1 of the small camps, so all they need to get is another one. And Baylog in the bot lane. Dahaka down here, going to try and deny it, but so much aggression coming out here. They get Eric. But look at mYinsanity, they're just all over the place, keeping TEH89 on the chase. Yeah,
and so now TEH89, obviously, that's why they're so aggressive on the small camps, is because they realize that's all it's going to take for them to be able to get it here. Giants are pushing on top, keep in mind, and that is very, very important. So the bottom Terror, keeping them around that Terror for mYinsanity is going to gain them more value. Falstad's now backing out. That's where you're going to see the commitment the minute that he shows onto the top Garden of Terror, largely because, hey, guess what? They don't have Falstad. We only need 10 more. That's going to be very easy for us to get. They are very passive, though, even with Dahaka on bottom.
Yeah, TEH89, they're very, very quickly here, but Dahaka does not take him long for him to rejoin his team. Same with Falstad, so they're a bit concerned here. And look at it, they're actually cautious. They don't want to throw away their victory here, so they're not committing to either of them right now. They don't know where everyone is, and as such, we're actually seeing Zeratul and ETC begin to split. ETC immediately rushing to top as fast as he can because mYinsanity, they started that Terror. And Sport Billy already flying up, and that does
But look at bottom. Guess who gave away the Shambler camp to the bottom right-hand side?
Sneaky Baylog stealing that away. And we see TEH89 trying to just get anything out of this. Yeah. But Blumby not having any of it, drops the stun, he's able to get out.
They, honestly, TEH89 is going to try and force it on this keep, but that is the worst-case scenario. You cannot do this, largely because the Terror is, if they go for this, the Terror is just going to smash them. They're worried about Gust and Void. There's a lot of options to do. This is a very risky move on their part here. And keep in mind, you do see the double keep with the Viking there, getting the split push as best as he can. And so now it's delay. The delay is the name of the game. If you are mYinsanity, you just stop your opponent from backing. Dahaka has ported in to get behind his opponents as well. Here comes out the Gust, the isolation, but I don't know if it's going to matter here because the core is being threatened so heavily. Yes, you are getting the Void and everything else, but your core is being pressured. The Polymorph probably going to come out as a defensive tool. But again, look at the core. There is everything is going down. All they have to do is keep delaying them. They're going to get too much pressure. I don't like that the Vikings are not worried about clearing the minions. The catapults do more damage than the Vikings.
Yes, stop attacking with the Vikings. Yeah, you get the splash damage with the Fury of the Storm. Falstad flying back. He's going to try and save his team. Going for the first Viking hit. Going to try and pick that off, and he won't get it for now. The jump does save him. Zeratul.
But Ethereal's dead.
Zeratul is definitely dead, and now we immediately see the Terror rushing for the core. The Falstad was able to kill off Olaf, and we see Baylog. Actually, no, but Olaf survived, and so did Baylog. So the Vikings survived, and now the entirety of mYinsanity, except for Rhaegar, are on the way in. And with 2 heroes down, that is going to be GG.
That was a very aggressive shot call coming out from TEH89. Very risky. The minute that they got the Terror, I felt like they were just going to back out. Okay, get our own Terror. We'll deal with the situation our own way, whether it be back. But I just feel like they took the only route that it seemed almost impossible for them to win.
Yeah, they really did. They tried to play over aggressive, and just the Viking split is just so hard to deal with on that map. There's no scenario basically where where mYinsanity don't eventually get enough seeds, except for everyone dies.
It's actually strange now looking back at it that they left that bottom right Shambler camp open for so long, not abusing one of their globals in some way to be able to deny them from that, forcing them onto a big one, which obviously they were doing a great job of countering.
Yep, so mYinsanity moving on to tomorrow's games, coming out number 1 in their group without dropping a map.
Wow, Dignitas 2.0, eh? No, but they've played really, really well, and they've earned their victories and their points and their advancement to the playoffs. Now, I'm not really sure what TEH89 could have done differently. They did extremely well in the early game. They kept up in XP for large proportions of the game. Is there anything that they could have done in the late game maybe that could have turned the tide of battle, or is it just that they got hard outdrafted and mYinsanity played the map extremely well?
I think it's more a scenario of if you don't get a lead quick enough, then eventually you're going to get in serious trouble. Like they didn't have a fort for so long. So when eventually they did start getting kills, there was nothing to do for them.
I could say that I feel like, number one, their overcommitment to, it was like cool in the early game to kill the Vikings, and that's where it gets the most value. But then it was like a double rotation top at a fort, which showed your positioning in order to get that and giving up a free keep. That is obviously a huge misplay. And then another one that was, I don't remember, there was another huge situation that I was like, I felt like they could, the top keep with the Garden of Terror, it just died. Like no siege at all. It was just dead.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was way too much miscommunication on whether or not they're going to commit with that or not. When they had to, so.
I mean, we compared it to the Sky Temple game from Leicester, right? Where it was like, the two maps function in a very different way.
Yeah, right.
There is very much so spread out areas on Sky Temple, whereas this map is a little bit more narrow. It's not exactly the same dynamic that comes out, so wasn't as impactful when they were dedicating so much resources to it, as you mentioned.
Yeah, so the Vikings look very, very strong in Garden of Terror. How likely are we going to see this battleground again?
Very unlikely.
I mean,
I'm amazed we saw it at all.
Was a clear demonstration of how you can dominate if you manage to get a good draft. Now, talking about good things, Kalaris, there was something expectationally good.
Yeah, so the first clip that we've got was something that I really wanted to focus on. So we've got the hacker here. Once again, as you said, that commitment to actually being able to theme, and tries to go for him, but as we just... Well, yeah, that happened. That was the thing. Yeah. So a little bit of
elegant
and a miss. So that was our first really important thing I wanted to point out during this extremely detailed.
I'm glad you showed us that. We didn't see it.
That was yeah. So
take the next one right away.
All right, let's get into
I can't wait. What do you have in store now?
Oh, I've got loads of good stuff for you. All right, so of course, Void Prism here, which was a brilliant setup by them. And it goes to, once again, to show the strength of a Void Prism just in general. Being able to get the mosh off from that. Like, there was no other methods to this setup. There was no other components to this setup, and it still shows the power of it. And we've elaborated on it many times in casts, off cast as well. This ultimate, this heroic ability is still the strongest thing in the game, bar none, if used correctly.
Yes.
And it just insta 2 kills off the back of that.
But something you could also see during that replay was, of course, that I think after level 20, 21, mYinsanity still had mid fort and bottom fort.
Yes.
So that shows how little pressure TEH89 could actually build up throughout the entire course of the game.
They had a kill comp that sort of only got kills and nothing else, kind of thing.
Yes.
Onto Vikings.
Yeah.
I didn't even feel like it got that many kills on any other
exactly.
target. You know what? It would have been a solid counter response.
Yeah.
Sylvanas.
It would have helped, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree.
It would have made the pushes anywhere else much better.
You saw how ineffective that 4-man one. It was legitimately doing nothing. If you were just like, hey, guess what? I'm going to force you to respond to me rather than the other way. I mean, you know, just call me a Sylph fanatic at this point. But I mean, last time it was Kel'Thas.
James, you have another treasure for us, right?
I could talk about what Dre's talking about, but we'll go on to the next one. So this is one of the more later fights once again, and Mosh is going to actually put him in a bad position here to actually find themselves another good spot. And it's just full control once again. And I think for a lot of it, it comes down to just strong mechanics and the drafting potential that they do have around it, but it's not going to get enough overall. So,
well, hello there.
Oh, that's not good.
Hello?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dead Mike.
Raggy.
Do we have number?
All right.
Nice.
He's experienced. He knows what the button is.
I got lucky.
He's gonna get more. He's gonna get more experience if he keeps playing like that. He's gonna be on this desk a lot.
I suppose, yeah.
The others don't want to come here. I don't know.
No?
I asked them. I told them go. But
Not schmuckers?
and then you know what Blumby said? He said after the final.
All right, Blumby. All right. You should deny him that as it happens. But, no.
All right.
All right, so Hazuabs, congratulations on winning your second best of 3s, and congratulations on reaching the playoffs. Really solid performance once again. Now, if you compare this series to the previous one against Dignitas, which one, or let's actually put it this way, what made you play Garden of Terror? Was it your map choice?
No,
Oh, they
it was
picked
not. Yeah, it was that.
It was the other team?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And they let you have Vikings?
Yes. I told you they had a bold strategy when it went to the draft, and that was...
Wow.
I think draft-wise it was okay for them, actually. I think because they got 2 globals.
Okay.
Actually, the Haka last pick really caught us off guard, at least me as a Viking player, because I know if you play against Zeratul Falstad, it's hard, but you can handle it. But then there's one more guy that is also pushing a lot. He can kill Vikings, and he's like a global. So I told my team, like, it's going to be hard as a Viking. But we had a decent pick-off comp, but they played very safe, I think. They didn't get picked off that much, and like, I don't think it was a draft problem. It was, like, I think the problem is actually that the map takes you ages to finish, and then even when they got like a good team fight at level 18 or 19 and they had a plant, they just didn't get much because we still had forts up earlier on and they couldn't push through.
So you say that TEH89 could have won with their comp on maybe a different battleground?
Yeah, obviously, I think. I mean, on the other hand, we would probably not pick Vikings then because we know on Garden they're extremely good. And it's like just very, very small things. For example, at the very end, when I collected the last 10 seats on bottom with Bearlock, like for me as a Viking player, I was sure that Dehaka would wait in the bush right next to it because he has Bush Stalker anyway, so he doesn't need to join or go anywhere else. And so for my team, going top to bait them there is pretty dangerous because they have Gust and VP. If they get caught, they might all die. But the moment I get the seats, I can call, like, you don't have to do anything. We just get the plant and win after that. But yeah, I thought it's, like, a lot of small things could have went wrong for us, and we could have lost the map for sure.
So during the draft of game number 2, Dread and the rest of the desk had actually a discussion about what to pick as a final pick or as a penultimate pick, and we were heavily in favor, or at least Dread was in favor of Sylvanas, but you didn't go for it. You went for Lunara. Can you elaborate why you did that? Was it purely a comfort pick issue, or?
So it was the Dark Mox hero, the last one we had to pick. We knew it's going to be a range because, I mean, Thrall and Sonya were an option, but we don't like Sonya in the Viking comps usually. We thought about Thrall because he's good in the 4-man, but we thought he might die too much actually because they were also scary. They had a good fighting comp as well. So we went with a range and we talked about every possibility. And
Sylvanas as well?
Yeah, so Sylvanas was for sure one of it, but we felt like we don't want to pick her because if we pick her and push, it means like we are stagnate. Like we show on the map, they see us, they might come and kill us. Like that's what we felt. So I don't know if Lunara was actually the right call because she is squishy as well. She doesn't have the best SK, but I think Darkmok did a good job. And she has the reveal talent on 1. So if she hits Zeratul once, it buys us a little bit of time.
Yeah. True. And she also has Nature's Calling, which did a lot of work, especially against Garden Terrors and the structures throughout the game, right? So looking at the playoffs, which team that's still up there would you like to go against Dignitas again?
Sure, why not? I mean,
are you confident?
Yes. The thing is that we lost last 2 playoffs when we met them, 0-3, 0-3. But I always thought not all the maps, but some of them were really close. And then at one point it was just like a stomp because, I don't know, we lost faith or something. But I think we can make it, and I'm not scared of anyone. So in the semifinal, I don't mind if it's Liquid or Fnatic. I think it's one of them, but you never know. Or are they?
I think they're in the winners match, right?
Okay,
yeah. They're going to play next, actually.
So yeah, we take it, whoever comes.
Good attitude, I like it. Spoken like a true warrior. I appreciate that. So guys, thank you very much for watching this best of 3s. As we mentioned earlier, or briefly, the next best of 3 series is going to be Team Liquid against Fnatic. 2 very well-established teams with a rich history. I can't wait to see what they've got in store for us. Team Liquid not really looking as solid because they dropped the map, I think, against Never Lucky, but maybe they can surprise and convince us. Who knows? If you want to become part of the discussion online, #HGC is the place to be. Let us know who you think is going to take it and what you're looking most forward to. For now, we're going to go to a short commercial break, so see you guys in a bit.